Thank you, Diana Shimkus and Encinitas Mindfulness Community here in Encinitas. And today is the 23rd, maybe, something like that. We just had Jean, one of our Sangha members, move out from Ohio, getting settled a little bit, right? Small, slow, a little slow. That's the way it should go, honestly. Haven't gotten to spend any time with Jean yet, but I'm looking forward to that once I get back from travel.
And the Sangha helped me every step of the way. I want to just thank everybody with
Wonderful.
supportive conversation and food and support. And I mentioned running into Felicia in Home Goods my first or second day here.
Yay.
I feel like I've
Wonderful.
come home and want to say thank you to everybody.
Home Goods. How perfect. How perfect to run into her in Home Goods. Because good home, right? Good home. That's what we're looking for wherever we are. And so we're all very excited to have Jean here. Today, because it's been a little more hectic here with doing things and being places and spending really time with friends, which is so important. These are friends of now 40 years. Uh, you never imagine getting to that 40 years through many moves and New York and Texas, and now we travel together and they come here, we go there to enjoy each other's homes and what that offers. So today we're going to begin a conversation. I want to start that way because I'm feeling slow this morning. We're going to start a conversation on eldership. Some would call that a spiritual stewardship. Would that make any sense for anybody? A spiritual stewardship. Spiritual is not my favorite word, though, but it really means care beyond the seen, right? Or maybe care beyond the obvious, or maybe then care from the heart, not because you have to, not based on duty, obligation, requirement, it looks good, really just because there is some compelling, I will say then. Compelling is the word I mean. Something that comes from the inside that says I must, but not out of that have to. I must because it is mine and it has been entrusted to me in some way to offer. And so it's got to be me. Because if it were about dog training, for example, that would be Libby's. That won't be mine. If it's about really, there is a way to work with this without harshness or unfriendliness or aggression, that would be Libby's. I only got training called you just do it because that's what you're supposed to do. And you could get beat to death over it, and that's part of the training. Um, right? So she would be compelled in some way in the world now, not just in our family, not just with my kids, though that would be certainly a place, but in the world to go, there is a way. And I actually am trained, learned, and practiced in this way, and I can offer lovingly, not um, chidingly to you. And then you must, because you have it. And you are going to be in infinite spots, all of us, where we have something that is ours and that really then compels us, must, because you know it. And if we don't share and offer and make the blessing, I'll talk about it today, be the blessing of that, you are failing your possibility, aren't you? You've failed because you got scared or you thought nobody cares anyway or whatever excuses we all make or they won't like it. Um, it's not actually accurate either, especially depending on our offering this for the benefit of all beings, right? This is a part of the Bodhisattva path too, is not just for you and not just to get you to be different, but to get you to begin to open, see, reflect, consider a whole other way of being, right? It's really what it is, isn't it? A whole other way of being that you, the other, and then you, the one transmitting, this is then the other word, in transmission, are living. Now, this is tricky, isn't it, a little now? Because you have to be the very gentleness you're trying to get others to be. Oh, oh, makes this so hard. You're going to be the kindness that you want others to offer. Oh, I got to live. And the transmission says, and I know this to be true both from teachers, others in my life. And by the way, I don't just mean spiritual teachers. I mean all the teachers who have been in my life throughout all time, and are infinite numbers, right? Any moment, have lived it, lived it in a way that I could say, oh, I see, feel, sense now the benefit of that. I am not just being what? Told. Because that's just learning, right? That's not transmission, folks. That's learning. Learning is useful, but it's not as useful as transmission, which is the vehicle, we could say, of the elder and of the bodhisattva, right? This is where we start. We're going to investigate how these are the same, the bodhisattva and the elder, because they are very, very similar and a little different. So we're going to try to talk about that. I looked for writing about it. I didn't see anything. And I think I'm the one. I realized it. I'm like, oh, we don't have a conversation yet about this, how elders and the elder bodhisattva is in fact the one to live it, not just to teach it, right? That you have enough learning now, you have enough practice, you have enough, right? Um, Letting go, I'm even going to say, wouldn't we? Of acquisition, the way it looks, the way people might perceive it, right? This is not important. I'm sitting here half in my pajamas this morning because actually I didn't care. It wasn't the important part to me, was it? Nobody's going to care how it looks. This isn't the point. But it takes about 60 years to go, really, however that is, isn't the point. The point's going to be what heart, mind did I bring? How connected, real, and even, I think, then vulnerable can I be in relationship to this reality of eldership or elderhood? So then I'm going to take a second just to see uh, if we're understanding. I don't want you to get lost in the language of bodhisattva. Now there's an elder, and how do those two things? Don't get wrapped up there. But I want to sit back for a second and see, can you feel that I don't know, I guess we could say spiritual, social, familial responsibility, as well as privilege? Could we sense the both of them? Responsibility, which can be a scary word now, nobody wants that one, as well as privilege, and then beyond that, blessing that we have been gifted this time in life, then past 50. in order to carry, maybe the word, transmit might be the word, live, certainly the word, the blessing of that wisdom. Look at the long relationship I just named of 40 years. That comes with growing something, right? It's required to grow something. What does it have to grow, for example? Well, I have to tolerate changes. I have to tolerate advances, shifts in identities. You're not the same as you were before. There's this happening and that happening, and the kids are grown and they're taking on a whole new value and importance, not incorrectly, but certainly differently than before. Right now, grandchildren, what's my relationship to those people, right? Given that I have a loving relationship with these goddaughters. Do I form that? Is that important? How do I do that? They live some distance. How do we stay connected, engaged, loving? You get, it's just constant, right? How do we do this love now? Hang on a second, I'm getting dry. And I like that question. How do I live that love now? Not same Christmas tradition, not that, it doesn't mean we don't carry tradition. But how does it inform, influence, impact, hold, carry today? And that's part of also the reason for change, because we go, wait a minute, not so much like this anymore. In our own family, we're noticing it's not going to quite go on like it did for a lot of years, for a lot of reasons. Well, one is my oldest son has his own tree, and he's not that into decorating two trees. Now, that's not wrong at all, that's just different. And then I have to be willing to investigate, what do I want to do with that tree? And do I want to make it my tree, not the family tree? And what does that mean? And who's going to get up there? And how do we enlist it? Right? This is, isn't it? A continuous. And how do we celebrate the gift of this human life, really? Uh, on that day in this way, even if it is in our spiritual tradition, right? How do we, is it meaningful? And then if the truth were that it weren't, what are we doing? And why are we doing it? If it in fact is not uh, the transmitting of love, care, family, affection, and presence. How, what would we be, it might not be worth or worthy of continuing. And that would be okay as well, right? So we get this idea, I think. Okay. Anything anybody wants to say while I get a poem for us? Um, and again, I always land on them. It's quite a beautiful accident. Jean,
I,
did you have something you wanted to
I
say? And
always have something to say.
that's lovely. I can hear you now, Jean.
Okay. You're using the word spiritual, which I appreciate. The word that keeps coming up for me as you speak is wisdom, tradition of wisdom.
That's right.
I
That would
have
be exactly correct.
some clients who are not spiritual and wouldn't want me to talk about so-called spiritual things. And I think everything you're talking, love, care, family, affection, presence, comes from the wisdom if we've been lucky enough to be studying and learning.
Yes, it would be all it would come from,
Oh gosh, no.
right?
But
But it would certainly be the wealth of knowing,
yeah,
for sure. What else would it have to come from? Since I got you on the spot here.
love.
Yeah, wouldn't
Lo-
it?
love, love and the recognition of the interbeing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why would we be sharing if
What
it
would be the point otherwise? Right?
exactly
All the knowing, really, and the beauty of the knowing, we don't want to diminish it without that because of love, because, and that's the Bodhisattva element.
Mhm.
The wisdoms are somewhat different. The focus of that, and that's why I shifted that word spiritual, because it isn't my personal favorite either. And I really do mean the intangibles, all of the things we frequently can't see, the
Yeah.
forces, the um, feelings, the care that we can't see, um, is really what I just mean. And then the Bodhisattva heart.
Oh,
Because really, to be move into elderhood with eldership, remember that's the stewardship of more than spiritual, by the way, we're going to talk about that too, would require that fierce, open, loving heart. Because the elder would not have the energy if it was just left to the body or to the mind. Wouldn't be enough. You'd have to get the fire force somewhere, and it would really be coming from love, I believe. Well, I know it because I don't have the same energy to clean my house that I used to have, and I have an infinite amount of energy to move into this elder bodhisattva role.
is
Well
it
beyond, well beyond people's understanding, actually. Like, what are you doing? Why are you still doing it?
when
And
you say the intangibles, I thought right away of the Brahma Viharas. I mean,
yeah,
I think that's what you're talking about.
and that's what I mean by transmission. They are all transmitted. They are not discussed. You don't have to walk up to somebody saying, I'm going to be offering you loving kindness. Let me define that for you. Nobody cares, right? And they, well, shut up. Don't keep talking to me. Okay. Mm. So here's the poem. I have it up. I hope you can see it. This is by Jane Hirschfield again. She's becoming quickly one of my favorite. I see her
I
in
know, buddy.
the.
No. Leave the doggies. No hablar. No hablar.
There we go. And here's the poem. And I don't remember its name. I'll get it for you. There are names for what binds us: strong forces, weak forces. Look around, you can see them. The skin that forms in a half empty cup, nails rusting into the places they join, joints dovetailed on their own weight. The way things stay so solidly wherever they've been set down, and gravity, scientists say, is weak. And see how the flesh grows back across a wound. I just lost my page, I apologize. With a greater vehemence, more strong than the simple, untested surface before. Isn't that delightful? See how the flesh grows back across a wound with a great vehemence, more strong than the simple, untested surface before. There's a name for it on horses. When it comes back darker and raised, proud flesh. As all flesh is proud of its wounds, wears them as honors given out after battle, small triumphs pinned to the chest. And when two people have loved each other, or 50 or thousands, see how it is like a scar between their bodies, stronger, darker, and proud. How the black cord makes of them a single fabric that nothing can tear or mend. Is that not spectacular? I'm approaching my hip scars differently. I was really able uh, to see that inherent beauty in the fact that I can now walk. And I don't have to make them look invisible or hide them, or in fact, can I let them be? as in fact they are, um, wounds, small triumphs pinned to the chest. Isn't that just exquisite? I will send that out for you. And then I want to ask you, what scars have been entrusted to you? Really, what scars? Because it begins as a scar, doesn't it? It begins as a wound. It begins just like that. We don't start with, oh, this was great. We start with, this is probably going to kill me. And then it doesn't. And
The,
we learn something. Yes.
the scars of the heart, like going through depression
Mm-hmm.
and recovering. I look at depression in a completely different way and pretty much happiness in a completely different way.
Yes. And it's we might call this, Robin, life curriculum. Like the path you have been gifted. Oh, gifted? Depression? Gifted? What? You're nuts. And how you then work with it, be with it, don't work with it, deny it, reject it, look the other way for all of the things we've all done, by the by, is a part of the teaching, and then a part of the wisdom, and then a part of what we are now capable of transmitting, isn't it all? So then we say in eldership, for example, it's okay. It doesn't mean it's pleasant. And it doesn't mean you're not going to think it's going to kill you, except it probably isn't. And in fact, then you're going to come to the other side of this with a bunch of medals, as Jane Hirschfield says, pinned to your chest. A war you have won, we could say. And I don't mean war in an aggressive or hostile way, right? But the battle was real, right? The battle was real. And she says, as battles, honors given out after battle, small triumphs, which become large wisdoms that then become, if we choose the elderhood path, large offerings and gifts. That very thing that was the difficulty and impossible, and I didn't want it, and I didn't think I could survive, became, in fact, often, by the way, I don't see this sometimes, I see it almost all the time, the greatest gift, not only to me, but to then others who I can be with in a loving, compassionate, kind, and often as well informing, transmitting way. Yeah. See if I can get rid of this to get to my notes. Hang on a second. See how we do that. So what do you think about this? What are your thoughts? That everything that was difficult, I really mean it, everything is now a part of this eldership and actually a living opportunity to share, to be, to live with a certain essential self-compassion as a start, kindness, certainly, and then the commitment, which is a part of the Bodhisattva path, to actually share it. What an opportunity. And towards what end? This is a part of what, for me, brings the elder and the Bodhisattva together. To what end? Why would we bother to share it?
So you can help others feel free
and not suffer. This is where the two come together in a pretty striking way. As I am living the wisdom of this, being the wisdom of this, sharing the wisdom of this, making the offering, all of those things, both in the way I am, be in the world, and the way I, right, communicate, share also in the world. We are all doing this towards the end of suffering, which is the Bodhisattva's path. And then the elder has another job. Anybody sense what that might be? Beyond the end of suffering, what?
Keep the wisdom going.
Yes, to move the wisdom and love where? Onward, forward. And that this is our job. Now the Bodhisattva, this is not their work. They're just going, no, it's not, it's you. That's not me. I'm only here to free all beings from suffering. And it's a very present moment, isn't it? This moment, the one that is alive now, because the Bodhisattva can't be everywhere in all things, right? This is, I guess, why we have Superman and Batman, right? Everybody has their special role relationship. And the elder's job is not only to propagate the good in this, right? They are compelled to share it and to move that goodness through transmission, a way of being, forward for future generations, future children, future others, future trees, future, right? Very different than the Bodhisattva, who says just now, and then now, and then now, which would, of course, potentially bring us into the future for the now of it. But the elder says, not just now. I am, and of course, we know this in the Navajo and other traditions. I am 7 generations in the holding of this wisdom. 7 generations. What will the impact of this moment be on 7 generations beyond me? Right? And this is the charge of the elder. Can you feel the difference in that? And really, it's mine to bear, mine to carry, mine to be, not just for this moment. It is a much wider container. And also not often thought about in the first 50 or so years. Not so much. Just like, well, I don't know. I don't know what's going on up there. I just know I'm trying to just get it right here because this is challenging enough. Well, that's correct also. It was going to be. It was supposed to be, one might even be able to say. So I just want to make sure that we carry the power. I'll be speaking to the differences as we go along. Yes, the scar of immigrating to the U.S. as a 9-year-old and understanding what being uprooted from one home and then by necessity now needing to create another at 9 without a language, very likely for Carrie, though I don't know the specifics, right? But isn't it true? And how to carry that? And how to feel then in the Bodhisattva path for all those just like me who feel alienated, disconnected, homeless for a time or for a life, right? Which may be true. And very likely Carrie has something special now to offer that by virtue of living through it, cultivating her own compassion, kindness, and wisdom, as well as a set of other necessary strengths, right? This is the factor of resilience that we bring. Necessary strengths that I had to develop called, I'm going to go into class and no one's going to know me and I'm not going to speak their language. I'm going to go anyway. And then you develop a certain fearless heart by virtue of that. And Carrie now goes into situations every day, rooms, isn't that interesting? Every day, where most people don't want to go. A fearless heart. Cultivated. And now what? Embodied and lived. She's got that skill. Carrie, I don't mean to pick on you.
Okay.
Well, you didn't get it from nowhere.
Nope.
You got it from somewhere because, well, most of us don't want to go. So that's Carrie's gift in elderhood, right? And she didn't pick it. in some interesting way, life assigns you, doesn't it? Like, no, it'll be you. That one's going to be you. You're going to carry that, right? You're going to be the one. And you go, I didn't want that job. That's not the job I wanted. I wanted the other job. And they go, nope, too bad. And then you notice, does anybody, that there's a theme to that? It's not accidental. There it is again. And then there it is again. And there it is again. And you go, what's happening? It's like life's picking on me with this leg thing. I just laughed about this with my friend Ken, who's here. I said, Ken, there's something going on down there because I'm cutting a toe and then I have an Achilles that won't work. There's something that I really need to open to around the reality of movement, that it is all precious and all a gift, and that nobody gets it forever. And then for whatever set of reasons, I keep risking it. Interestingly, I really want to look at that. Somebody's on?
Yeah, I just remind me of a Chinese orphan girl that was brought from China to this couple here.
Yes.
And I couldn't talk Chinese to her. And when I was out there, she was so like out of her element that she would scream. And so she would scream and I would look at her and she would look at me. And so I just kind of dug back and I just kind of used my hands and just kind of used my intuition just to say, let's try this. And it was more like sign language rather than trying to talk to her. And so she did eventually evolve. And from what I know, she's still with us and she's still playing. But I didn't have a clue, in listening to that screaming, what to do. But it's like through the silence and just kind of finding my heart and my soul.
Yeah.
And I so remember that, and just kind of what you're saying just all ties together.
Yes. And it is the heart language, I suppose, isn't it? The sign language of the heart. She felt, Dennis, I am certain, your joy at being with her and your willingness to be tender and caring with her and your willingness not to need language or demand something of her she could not offer you. And that you could both be in a little bit of shared play or joy or fun or maybe even investigation. Like, let's just look at it together. Maybe that's what we could do. And that she likely is going to come away from that as I did, as I have shared my grandmother's cutting of the toast many infinite decades later, going, that was a safe moment. That was a moment I felt held or cared about or seen, right? And it matters more than any amount of tennis, doesn't it? Or language. Not really so. Not really so much. Jean, hang on. Jim writes, elders contribute to the evolution of the species. We hope so. They have that potential. And I think now more than ever, if we can't, in these next few generations, take on willingly, lovingly, the role of sharing the wisdom from our indigenous peoples, right, in their relationship with the earth, if we lose contact with each other and our shared humanity necessity, we will not survive. And so, yes, the evolution of the species be there. And Jean, you wanted to say something, and then I'll go on.
I'm interested in your example of your own with the legs. This is very interesting.
Yeah.
Many people in the Sangha know I would characterize my scar as the death of my son at 32. And we had his death anniversary Sunday on Father's Day, which was when he was found dead on Father's Day. So when we talk about the way you just did, and I see the blessings that have come from that and what I've been able to work with particularly clients, but also family, in terms of impermanence and love and all kinds of things. When you're talking about your legs and your toes and your Achilles heel, and there's something going on there and you want to study it, I have to fight the something going on there for my particular scar as some kind of angry, vengeful God creating this scar, creating this situation.
Mm.
Uh, and if it's not too much off the topic, can you speak to, as you investigate, which I know you do with love and compassion, what is this lesson about my legs? You know, I get into, why do we have to have lessons? I feel like it's that, you stupid jerk, now here's your lesson. My
Mm.
judging mind. You know that part of me.
I do.
So
I
is
know
that,
that part of me anyway.
is that a useful inquiry? Because
Oh,
I see myself getting sidetracked.
yes. So when we bring any amount of assessment of life based on its difficulty, let's just start there, as being useful or not useful, we're already in a fair amount of trouble because the most useful curriculum is often the most difficult, or Jean, maybe let's say unbearable,
Yeah.
right? The most, now you heard me, I said most useful
Mhm.
curriculum is often the most difficult. I have used these legs to run marathons, to ride 100-mile bike rides, many, and I
Right.
disregarded them most of my life,
Mm.
honestly. Just like they're just supposed to do that. They just do that. And that just supposed to was taken for really significant granted.
Mm.
And I suffered several injuries then as well with disregard. Because then I just got better, or I just healed, or the hamstring just repaired. And I began this in 8th grade, by the way, when I did splits on a trampoline and tore my hamstring,
Mm. Wow.
right? Nobody's ever done splits on a trampoline, folks. There's a reason. There's a reason. I get ingenious in the air, decide I'm going to come down, and it throws that leg back literally over my head, tears my hamstring. That repairs. Oh, okay. I don't have to pay attention. Now look what I'm saying. I don't have to pay attention. I don't have to be with this reality called the impermanence of this human body and its preciousness. Clearly, big lesson for me. And I get another 50 years of just trashing the thing. I get to walk the Camino. Do I train? No. Don't have to train for the Camino. You just walk the Camino. Oh, okay. People are going, how long have you trained? I'm like, training?
I remember you.
Yeah, who trains? Nobody, right? What about training? What do? You just walk. You just walk. And everybody's going, seriously, you're just going. Yeah. Did you get through? Yeah. Did you rip up your feet? Yeah, of course. Right? So uh, from that, and I will use the word lovingly, ignorance, but lovingly, that ignorance needed some attention in me. And so here I am, going, no, walking up and down the stairs, an infinite blessing. Being able to get in and out of your car, an infinite blessing. And I needed every single one of those instructions. And I see it still. Can I regard the truth? And you are on to the truth of impermanence of all things, even the love that is easy, not always so easy, right? The love that is just always there, now painful in a way that I go, wait a minute, I don't want that love. I want the other one. And the instruction is no, this too. And then we open like this too. And then that becomes the very thing that you get to, with wisdom, compassion, love, and kindness, share, which is love will not always be easy. It will not always be pleasant. It will not be what you wanted.
But not because I did something wrong.
Not at all. No, that's everyone's curriculum.
Okay. That's what I
It is
got out of your
unavoidable.
example.
Yeah, it's unavoidable. Only you're doing that. And
Yeah.
that's a part of your curriculum also.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you didn't do it to me. You didn't go, well, you were a knucklehead. You're lucky you're walking at all. Probably you shouldn't be walking. Probably true.
That sounds to me like what you're saying. And when I try to translate it to my situation,
Well, you got an obstacle. This is a primary hindrance.
yeah. Okay.
Self-judgment, self-hatred, self-loathing, somehow I'm different than everyone else. And by the way, we're all doing it. I'm in no way picking on Jean. This
Oh,
is
no.
a human story. We're all going, why me? Like, why did I get this thing? This was the one thing I didn't want, Jean. I'd be happily blind and walking,
Wow. Okay.
right? Happily. I don't need these eyes. I don't use them. I use my ears, by the way. But walking, moving, right? Not helpless, right? Legs, all in the legs. Guess what? Well, okay, this is going to be it. These legs. And by the way, I have some sense of where I might end up going. I'm not going to catastrophize it in any way. And I may get tested some more if I don't get this. And I might get tested some more if I get it. I don't want to blame myself for that either. And wouldn't that be okay to go, yeah, I may be the one going, yeah, everybody's carrying me literally. That may be part of the training for me. And can I accept in some way willingly the assignment? Okay, this is the curriculum. This is the path, says the Buddha. And then what you do with the path determines whether you move towards the end of suffering or stay locked in the cycle of samsara, which is really, and I think about this on occasion, will I be okay not moving? And this is just a part of the elders, right? Because there will be a day, legs or none, where that will be the reality. And it may be longer than a day.
Well, you think you won't be okay.
That's
But
right.
you
I
will.
actually don't think that now.
Okay.
I actually think there will be opportunity here for opening in a way I have not always liked, wanted, or chosen. Most of it, by the way, we could say, right? Not chosen. So thank you. In the first half of life, we already said this, in accrual. What can I build? What can I make? What can I establish? What can I count on even, right? We cultivate supports, strengths, don't we? We're growing capacities. In the end, we look more at what can I pass on? What can I share? How can I be in a way that will be to the benefit of not only me in those strengths, but really the propagation, Jim said, of not only myself, but the passing on of the goodness, one might say, of the species itself, the goodness of the species itself, that capacity for loving the enemy, which is uniquely ours. We are the only beings on this planet today that can love the enemy because the brainstem does not allow it, does it? And then we see moments, and there are always the moments that make us cry, as they should. I'll give you an example. We were we were at Pearl Harbor finally, for my 70th birthday, and I had never been and always wanted to go. And we had this unbelievable docent who told the story. It's, by the way, written in several books now, of a kamikaze pilot who ran into the Arizona, I think it was, and while it was at sea, and the captain and the pilot died, right? Of course, and the troops wanted to throw the body overboard. They recovered the body of the kamikaze. And the captain of that ship at that time said, no, this soldier was only doing his job. He loved his country. And he made the ship hand sew the Japanese flag to lay over the body of that pilot. And they did an entire ceremony honoring the pilot as they lowered him into the sea. A true story, look it up. And they were the whole time, right, that they were sewing, saying, this is insane. This man tried to kill us. And the captain knew something more, right? There was an amazing transmission, which is how it is written in so many books by so many soldiers or seamen, right? Loving your enemy, our capacity for this. And that's just one example. But you can feel the deep aspiration in that, I hope. The deep aspiration. That we can then also, and I'll just stay with that one quality, be generous enough of heart, right, to love our enemies. Just one example. They're infinite. And that this is the deepest aspiration of the Bodhisattva, to love all beings, right, including our enemies. And then the elder says, oh no, this is not sufficient. I am also the one to instruct it. I am also the one to carry it. I am also the one compelled to be it, so that it moves forward beyond this present moment. So we begin to get the difference. Does everybody get it? Yeah. It is good here. And it is even greater here. And then here. And then here. As we move it forward. Can we recognize the lessons entrusted to us? It's going to be one of your reflection questions this week. What has been entrusted to me to propagate that wisdom, that care, right? That I did, and I said this on Saturday, I did not know that I was being entrusted the ravioli recipe. I didn't get it. I went, well, nobody else is making them. I don't know what the deal here, right? And it has become both a family tradition and one I hope will get carried on. We don't know yet. But I didn't understand what that meant. That's from a time before, but valuable, right? That we put that much effort or care, or which came from my grandmother and her mother-in-law, and on, right? And there is something in it that's valuable that I hope will live, even if it's not in the ravioli, really, right? So then not quite the point. We get the idea, I know. So the elder, not just meaning then what? Older. And in fact, then not the point, but living long enough, you would have to say, to get the instructions. To understand this isn't just about me. It is not just about this moment. It is about how I live this moment and its impact, influence going forward, which is not, again, quite the same as the Bodhisattva. It is not just an accumulation of years. It is not just survival, right? You don't get there just because you turned 50. It's not true. And in fact, we see that in sometimes too great of evidence. It is a conscious, here's the rub, folks. It is a conscious assuming responsibility for what will continue after us. Conscious is a conscious assuming of responsibility. Remember, I use the word also privilege. And we have to do that stewardship with first the understanding that the essential curriculum of the elder is how they are transmitting by virtue of their being, that's the lesson plan, right? By virtue of their being. And so then you don't just think about this moment, you think about how does this very moment go forward? How does this very moment get transmitted to then infinite others?
The phrase live by example.
Live by example, Libby.
Or what was it?
And love
lead,
by
lead.
Lead by example, we could say love, right? By example. Any questions about this? I think we're getting it, right? Makes sense? Yeah. It's very confusing otherwise. If we don't have the conversation, I think you can mistake them for equals. And again, I think they're equal in value. I don't think the value is the question. I'm going to ask my husband to hang on a second here. I love you too. I broke a pot this morning putting on a jacket, and I swung it back behind me, and my husband had moved a plant, and it grabbed the plant and it took it right to the floor and broke a bunch of things, and there's dirt all over, and he's being super kind actually and cleaning it up for me. A true Bodhisattva elder. How may I use my suffering, I wrote. How may it serve not only me, and how may we all awaken is the question of the Bodhisattva, right? That would be the Bodhisattva's inquiry. The elder asks, what is worth preserving of this curriculum, of this lesson? What must continue for the benefit of all? What would be lost if it was not carried forward? And then how do we love, protect, cultivate, and transmit those qualities, those teachings? We move from service, the Bodhisattva's vow of service, to stewardship. And the elder is the steward of what we might call this sacred relationship with each other and the earth.
Can you explain the difference between stewardship and I just lost the word.
Elder?
Service.
Service is action.
And stewardship is not.
Transmitting, living, being.
Okay.
More beingness.
Okay.
Bodhisattva is an action, right? Highly actionable. The elder is not so much what they're going to do. They're not necessarily cutting down that tree. They are being the transmitters of maybe with some wisdom, maybe with you're going to make that cut and it's going to, right, all of that good stuff. But it's a quality of being with not only the tree, which is the first curriculum, how are we with these things called the earth, but then how do we care for it? And then you're instructing by being more than by, right, more than by service, more than by, still in action, but really quite less in the doing, more in the being. I think we get all this pretty well. And I write at the end, perhaps the elder is not separate from the Bodhisattva, but just the flowering of the Bodhisattva path. Maybe it's its full bloom, and that it doesn't happen until now, right? Maybe the Bodhisattva's action of service is the stem from which this beautiful elder path can be cultivated, lived, and shared. What has been entrusted to you is the inquiry. And then there was a couple other ways to look at that, and here were some of the questions as we get ready. What was mine to tend? What was mine to protect? What was mine to transmit? What has life been trying to teach through me, not just to me? Very different, right? What has life been trying to invite in the wisdom holders through me? And this is the invitation to eldership. All right. I think we're going to sit with this a little bit. How about that? Any other questions or comments before we sit? I think we get it, don't we? All right. So let's prepare to sit. We're going to sit for the rest of our time. I will send out the reflections. Each day I'm asking you to hold one piece of this because it's big, just one piece of the reflection per day for the 7 days, and then we'll talk about it. So really with that wisdom and that deep regard, not only for one's being, not only for all beings here this present moment, not only for all beings who have come before, and we always invite them here, their wisdom, their care, their tending. We're resting on the shoulders and in the heart space of those elders. We actually sit here with the future, the next generation, the next moment, the next beings in mind. This is the movement, we call it, in all directions. Both what has come from past, what is present here, and now we're opening the eldership path to what will come after. And feel the open space of that in which you sit. Breathe it in. And we want to remember that the very best first transmitting of our being comes with stillness and silence. The very best, most intimate, most urgent, most connected capacities are known, reflected, and radiated from this still, silent, open space. And so we're going to rest here. If we understood that everything that has come before throughout all time is here now, and the Bodhisattva says, I will use what is now, this moment, to benefit all beings, this thought, this awareness, this loving presence, this is an act of service. And so we breathe it in, we make contact with the truth of our goodness, come throughout all time, not just ours in any way, and we send it out. And we're sending it out into the now. We're living it now. We're breathing it right now. We're cultivating a quality of heart-mind in the now. And the elder invites the addition. How will this impact now? And now, and now. And it is done with consciousness, intention, and a deep vow and aspiration. I will live now, not only for my own well-being, not only for the well-being of those others who are here, but for all beings to come. Grounded in the wisdoms that have come before and have been gifted to me, and cultivating those very gifts, not only for myself, but for my children, my grandchildren, their grandchildren, and theirs. What is mine to tend and offer to those generations? What wisdoms do I hold and aren't just in the head, right? We understand wisdom to be an embodied knowing. See what arises. And something that came naturally for me, just as an example, I was thinking about the legs again. The legs came to mind. And I thought, it isn't just care for the legs, though it is important, care for the body, right? That's certainly a piece of this, how to take good care of the body, but also non-attachment to the body. And I already have that part. But with non-attachment can come a certain kind of disregard if you're not careful. And so I have an amazing opportunity to steward forth care for the body with non-attachment. How do we live in this body? Regard it and not mistake it for you. What is the instructions you have been gifted that you can carry forward? And as Jean was talking, for example, how to be with difficulties and not make them your fault. Go into self-blame or judgment. There are infinite lessons and offerings. And can you make contact with them? And they are often right where the difficulty lies, where the tenderness lies. And even for me, often where the confusion began. And this is not a thought. So we don't spend time in analysis here. We drop into the body, feeling where the tenderness lies. And maybe where the scars are. What are the lessons from those very scars? both in service, wanting to help others avoid suffering or be free from suffering. That's the Bodhisattva part of the path. And then in the wish for the wisdom to be carried forward so that others don't have to suffer and are informed and awakened. There are names for what binds us: strong forces, weak forces. Look around, you can see them. The skin that forms in a half-empty cup. Nails rusting into the places they join. Joints dovetailed on their own weight. The way things stay so solidly wherever they've been set down. And gravity, science says, is weak. And see how the flesh grows back across a wound with a great vehemence, more strong than the simple, untested surface before. There's a name for it on horses. When it comes back darker and raised, proud flesh. As all flesh is proud of its wounds, wears them as honors given out after battle, small triumphs pinned to the chest. And when two people have loved each other, see how it is like a scar because their bodies stronger, darker, and proud. How the black cord makes of them a single fabric that nothing can tear or mend. A black cord between my wisdom and your freedom. That is the gift of stewardship, of elderhood. And we must assume the role consciously. Allow these answers to emerge slowly and actually through the body. I trust it's ripening through the years and the decades. And then as you're ready, offering that gift that life has already cultivated within you. May we bring forth this wisdom with love, with kindness, and with an understanding that we are also the shoulders upon which future generations will stand. How then shall we live? How then do we transmit that wisdom beyond language, beyond teaching, by our very quality of being? And may we all have happiness and the causes for happiness. May we all be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May we rejoice, be glad, and delight at our good fortune, the blessing of this precious human life. And may we offer it, cultivate it, live it, and transmit it, not only for ourselves, but for all beings, including those yet to be born. May we rest and dwell in this vast, open, good heart, free from hatred, free from greed, free from ignorance, not only for ourselves, but for those to come. And may this practice this very day contribute and may it continue. So be it. Thank you all for being here today. I hope all the fathers had a happy Father's Day. However that got acknowledged or celebrated, please know it matters. And look forward to being in the garden this Saturday with Jim, who will be guiding a practice, as well as Liz, who will be offering yoga this Saturday in the garden. I will not be here. Libby will not be here, but the garden is still available. So please enjoy that. We'll miss you all, but get to see you next Tuesday as we continue this conversation about eldership and our opportunity and gifts to give. Thank you all so much. Good to see you all.
That was beyond beautiful. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I think the possibility is absolutely stunning. Felicia, I would agree with you. And so happy to have you here to take that, make that conscious choice to be here for all those yet to come in all those decades, 7 generations plus. Yay. Matters. Be well, everyone. Have a good day. See ya.